let's get stuck into a bit of transfer window chat now, shall we? I'm desperately trying not to say it's all about to slam shut and there's going to be a scramble for people. But
with a yellow tie on.
I always wear a yellow tie for Norwich City programmes, as you know. Charlie, from a tabloid reporter, a Sun football journalist point of view, how busy is the next 24 hours going to be for you?
Well, it's very frustrating because it happens every January now. The offices get very excited, and particularly Sky Sports trying to rev everything up. And the last few Januaries have been very, very quiet. And I think it's a mixture of a lot of the clubs have just been sensible and got the players they wanted at the start of the season. And at the moment, a lot of the teams are skint.
That is true.
And that's outrageous, really, when you think how much money's in the game. Yeah. I'm not talking about Norwich now. There's a lot of clubs, right up to Arsenal, with no money. So there'll be a few loan deals, a few surprise ones, of course. But I don't think we're going to have some incredible merry-go-round.
Well, let's talk to Norfolk-based, he's an agent, a representative. He does all sorts of jobs as well, a sports lawyer. We had him on the programme a few weeks ago. Dan Chapman is with us. We thought it'd be interesting to get his take on the transfer window with 24 hours or so to go. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, lovely to talk to you. So, are we lucky to get through to you at the moment? Is your phone ringing off the hook with desperate football clubs and players trying to get a move? Have you only got 30 seconds before the next call comes in? What's it like?
I'm okay at the moment. I mean, I second what Charlie said just then, in that I don't think this is going to be a hugely big window. January's become a bit of a damp squib. But that said, there's still lots of activity. I've had a few things developed this morning that I wouldn't have predicted. A really interesting thing, Chris, this year is that we've also got Brexit looming tomorrow, and that's causing havoc because a lot of the rules on transfers relate to whether a player is an EU citizen or not. So I'm getting a lot of clubs with my sort of legal hat on looking for advice as to whether we're actually in Europe next week or not. And it's all very complicated, and there's going to be a few stressful sort of work permit type situations tomorrow, I predict.
Well, do you know what? As you've mentioned it, where does this all leave Norwich City? Because we have a lot of European players who play for Norwich City. I mean, it's obviously they are all going to be able to play on Saturday. It's not like we're going to turn up at Newcastle and there's only Grant Hanley left. But it's going to change things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to affect existing players, people that are already in the country are eligible, and that won't change. But it is going to have an impact on future recruitment. And certainly I was speaking to one club yesterday who were very keen on signing a talented young Irish player. But of course, an Irish player is actually an EU citizen. And as of next week, if we're not going to be in the EU, that means the Irish player becomes an inverted commas foreign player, and suddenly the clubs are less keen to use up an allocation on such a signing. So it's going to alter recruitment in a way that will mean that certain clubs who are proactive and have been thinking about this will potentially steal a bit of a march on the others that have got caught behind and haven't really planned for this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. From a representative's point of view, how key is it over the last day or so of a transfer window that you don't get drawn into any panic buys? If people are ringing you with a day to go, it maybe suggests they haven't thought it through properly. You don't want to advise a player to make a move that's going to be bad in the long run, do you?
Absolutely right, and that's the classic scenario. I had one, I can't say who, but one, let's say a championship club yesterday. They're calling around literally everybody in the game looking for a striker. They don't have one in mind. They're going to clearly make a bid today or tomorrow for a few strikers. And if you're representing that player, you've certainly got to look at what's the right advice. It obviously depends on each player's circumstances at the club they're currently at, and sometimes you take a gamble and the gamble pays off. But generally speaking, a summer move is more sensible for all parties.
Dan, do some clubs leave it till the last minute deliberately to try and get the prices down, or is that a little bit simplistic for what's going on? I mean, surely they've really done their homework.
I don't think any club would deliberately wait till the last minute to sign their primary target. But I think that all clubs would have a number 2, number 3, number 4 option in a certain position. So what will happen tomorrow is when it becomes apparent that your primary target won't take place for whatever reason, they will then last minute start contacting number 2, number 3 on the list. And those are the ridiculous situations which I've had before, where at 10 o'clock on deadline day you get a call asking, where are you? Is there any chance you can sort of get to X club in the next half an hour? It's madness.
And Dan, from an insider's point of view, what have you made of the January business that Norwich City have done? The most recent signing, as we're speaking now, Melvin City, who's a player we're not going to see until next season. So they're a club who have, in recent times, prided themselves on not panicking and being, and at least giving the impression that they're quite organised on these things.
Well, definitely always looking way in advance. And even the players they have signed, if you look at Judo and Rupp, they were players that, I suspect were summer signings, but potentially bringing those signings forward now gives the squad more options. But they're players that are being signed with the long term in mind, irrespective of divisional status, which I think is important, because some clubs buy in January purely to get through the next 3 or 4 months. But as the agent, in January you'll be asking for a 4-year contract, so you've got to be careful where you end up as the club in those circumstances.
Well, hopefully you won't run up too much of a phone bill over the next 24 hours or so. Dan, we appreciate you taking the time to join us.
No problem, my pleasure. Thank you.
Great stuff. Dan Chapman, we've become a bit of a friend of the Scrimmage, hasn't he?